Welcome to this episode of The Essence of Leadership. Today we have Attorney Davis with us, the owner of the Creators Law Firm. Now, maybe I'm a little biased, but I think she's pretty awesome. She's actually my intellectual property attorney, and I have totally enjoyed all of the work that she has done for me. But before we dive into the story, let me jump into her bio so you too can know a little bit about Attorney Davis. She founded the Creators Law Firm to empower, protect, and advance creatives, CEOs, and founders in their legacy-driven call to entrepreneurship. The Creators Law Firm also revolutionized, guys, work culture for women by creating a global model for work-life blend and team building. Her smarts protection team of savvy attorneys and advocates are the premier choice for trademarks, general counsel, contracts, business formation, and strategy. So with that being said, welcome, Attorney Davis.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to come here and share my smarts with you all today.
Awesome. So, you know what? I know people want to know, especially with all of the things that are happening right now with intellectual property, AI, all that good stuff. But before we get to that, I want to talk to you about leadership. Now, you mentioned in your bio about having a team and premier attorneys. What was that like to start building that team from the ground up?
Um, it's been challenging because there's one aspect when you are an entrepreneur and you're building something that was never created before, and it's really largely in part in service to your clients.
Mhm.
And then when you begin to expand your team, you now have to be in service to your team internally. And so there's a duality that you have to be called into
Mhm.
to make sure that you are um, taking care of the clients, but then also empowering your team to almost work in the same spirit as you. So that's been a little difficult. It's not been impossible, but of course I've hired, I've fired, I've had to say hello and goodbye to a lot of people along the way, but it's been really rewarding to be able to create something that can provide a really great service and product to our clients, but also helps others who have families as they're building and creating their own wealth. So it's really been a joy to even be able to have a business that's been alive for over 8 years and also to be able to accomplish employing several people.
Awesome. Now, there's one thing I heard in one of your previous interviews. And I'm asking this based on the fact that people want to know, like, how did you become this leader? How did we get to be the Creators Law Firm, right? And you
Yeah.
mentioned, and I might get the story wrong, so you definitely feel free to correct it. When you mentioned that you were looking into what type of law, and another experienced lawyer mentioned to you that something about or tried to intimidate you in some facet about being in the realm of intellectual property, and you
Right.
work diligently to prove this person wrong, and thus we have the Creators Law Firm. What was
Right.
that like being in that space?
Um, I think I was very vulnerable because this was about 8.5, 9 years ago. Yeah, 8.5 years ago now that I think about it. And around this time, it was June 6th, I think, of 2016, though.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, almost 9 years ago. So I had just had my son. I was working with another attorney actually, and it was a really terrible work environment. It was my first job as an attorney. I told the man, I said, listen, I'll work for you for free. You don't even have to pay me. I just want to show you that I'm dedicated. And it was a very toxic work environment where it was yelling, it was cussing, it was, demeaning, insulting of one's intelligence, not just myself, but other people who were there. And I, being a very new attorney, I
Mhm.
don't even think I had been licensed for a full year at the time. No, yeah, a little over a year. I thought I just have to take it. I'm just going to have to sit here and endure. And then eventually I'll be able to come out of this. And so once I had my child and he was 10 days old, the attorney called me and he said, I no longer think you're fit for the success of this firm. You should focus on healing your body and get over your pregnancy brain. I never had pregnancy brain, but it was in that moment. It was like he was for me trying to kick me when I was down.
Mm-hmm.
And the beautiful thing about the experience I had with him, and I'm thankful for it now, is I learned how to run a business and how not to run a business.
Mm-hmm.
Just, it was almost like a glimpse. Of course, it wasn't all the building blocks, but that was a confidence building experience for me because I felt that, okay, the only thing that separates me from this gentleman, or several things that separate me from him, is time and experience. He had been a practicing attorney for longer than me, and my attitude was much better, and my heart was as well. And so, being in that space of vulnerability, I still was able to say, this may be something that I can do. And even though I applied for hundreds of jobs afterwards, no doors were opened unto me. I realized after prayer, this is what I was supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was terrified, absolutely terrified to launch my own business. But I think you have to lead yourself, in those down moments where there are no other options. Because what I was looking for, like the type of job I wanted to work at, and I would say, I want to work at this place where, people can be free to be creative and they can feel safe to have a business or birth a baby and not feel like they're going to be discriminated against.
Right.
And they're going to be able to not fit in this cookie cutter box of being this, attorney who wears suits all day and folds their arms and scowls. That was not existing at a time. So it was because I had to create it. And so I think that's one of the, like, if I had a quotation that would define how I move in life, and it was one of the quotes that I read that really inspired me to start my business. It is from Abraham Lincoln. It's accredited to him, and it says, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And so I decided to create my future with my business.
That is awesome. And it speaks to so many things that I wanted to talk about. But the resilience piece stands out, in my opinion, mostly when you tell that story, which is why I asked that. Because when I'm coaching and working with different leaders, sometimes that kick when you down is the final kick. Like it's
Yeah.
the first, and that's it. Like people don't move past that. That
Yeah.
can end somebody. And
Absolutely.
him being in that leadership role and not even being mindful, right, of the people that are in the office, the culture of their environment that you talked about with the, I'll say the profanity, just being
Yeah.
in that aggressive environment every day can end someone's career because it takes them to that place of mental stress and so forth. And that's just not good.
No, it's not. And I mean, and I think there was just something about me, just based on my lived experience, where
Mhm.
I knew what he was trying to attach to me.
Right.
He was trying I remember he was like, I don't know what they taught you at the school you went to. And it was
Right.
almost like he was trying to attack my intelligence. And I'm like, I know I'm smart.
Right.
You
Right.
can't
Right.
tell me that I'm dumb. The
Right.
only thing is that maybe I haven't had the experiences that you've had,
Mhm.
but that doesn't mean that you're smarter than me.
Mhm.
And I remember after I decided to start the firm, I said, well, I'm going to do informational interviews. And I tried to find other IP attorneys that looked like me in my state. And I had like a list of 20 something attorneys, and none of them were African American. I think two of them were female, and the only other African American was the person who had just fired me. So I was like, well, I started to talk to different people, and I'm like,
Right.
I really just looked at it and I said, I don't have any expectations. I'm going to set up informational interviews. I'm going to get as much information and skills and knowledge and resources that I can. And I take from people what is for me, and anything else, I leave it. And
Right.
so I remember I spoke with another gentleman, and he told me, I said, I'm going to start my firm. He said, I don't recommend, after he gave me really great resources, he was like, I actually don't recommend that you do this. You need to work for someone else and then start your firm. And I thanked him for that. And then, like, maybe 3 months later, after I started my firm, I had to send his client a cease and desist. He was like, oh, I wasn't expecting to, it was nice to hear from you again. But what was so interesting was that, he didn't even have the authority to tell me yes. So why am I going to delegate authority to him to tell me no? Like, you don't even have the power to tell me, yes, I can start my firm. Yes, I can serve these type of people. So why am I going to give great weight to your no? And you trying to tell me that I shouldn't do something that I'm called to do. And
Right.
I think vision can carry a leader very far. If you know, if you have a dream to do something,
Hmm.
other people are not responsible for seeing your dream. Do not take offense to it. I didn't
Right.
take it personal, because in his limited range and sight, he couldn't perceive himself
Right.
likely starting a business without having being underneath someone's wing and the safety of that wing. But if an opportunity and door doesn't open to you, I don't have the luxury of just waiting for someone to create the opportunity to give me a job and take a chance of me. So I took a chance on myself.
Wow. You answering the question before I could ask it, but I want to put it out there because you mentioned that people have been in a place of waiting for that yes from someone, right? When they don't really have the ability to give you that.
Yeah.
What role do you think mentorship and coaching plays in shaping like your leadership philosophy? Because it seems like the people that you entrusted at the beginning didn't turn out to be what you expected of them.
Right. You know, you can be mishandled along the way, and you
Mhm.
should expect that to occur, but that shouldn't prevent you from seeking what you need. There have been times in my life and business where I say, you know, this is like that road that I have to walk alone with me and my Lord and Savior. And
Mhm.
then other times I'm seeking for one of his beautiful children to help me because there's a gap in my knowledge, and I don't want to wait to experience, making a mistake to then gain that wisdom. Sometimes you gain wisdom by experience, and
Mhm.
sometimes you gain wisdom by an expense. You have to pay for it, and that's okay. And so for me, I think mentorship and coaching has been critical and instrumental in my success, because I know I have personally invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in people to either teach me certain areas of the law, to teach me how to be a better leader. And that's the type of stuff I'm looking for right now. How can I create an environment of entrepreneurship in my company? How can I be a better leader, a better communicator, a better manager? Because that is very a different skill set
Yeah.
than being a good lawyer or being a good salesperson. And so I think you have to be multifaceted, and that can be a bit much for people.
Right. And I was going to ask you about evolving as a leader, right? And you once again did it. So you have the attorney piece. We know you can do that. But
Mhm.
to build that team that you want, that high performing team, that resilient team, regardless to all the uncertainty that's happening in the world, what do
Yeah.
you think it takes for you to show up in that capacity?
You have to have faith. Faith, a lot of people believe that things can happen, but
Hmm.
they don't trust that it will happen for them.
Right.
And that's what faith is.
Right.
Faith is a belief and a trust. And so I have to believe in my team, and I also have to trust them. What the mistake that I made before is I would delegate responsibility, but not authority to my team. I would tell them, you have to do this, you have to do that. But the authority of how to make particular decisions at the moment, I wasn't always delegating that. And so, what has really helped me when I began to say, okay, I need to build a team. Well, the first thing that inspired me to build a team was unfortunately the passing of my father. It was unexpected. Did not expect my dad to pass away. And I remember it was the first 9 days of May of 2019. I
Hmm.
mean, the money was coming in, like I'm like, this is about to be a crazy month. This is
Right.
absolutely amazing. And he passed away like very early in the month. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I had to help plan the funeral. I had to write his obituary. I had to get somebody to, I was just kind of stepping in and trying to help my mom as much as possible. And my siblings, we all banded together. But then, a week or two later, I'm taking client calls, like sales calls. I'm trying to work to submit certain types of legal documentation. And I'm like, I'm looking to somebody to help me. And I did not create an environment that allowed me to get support.
Right.
And I had to put down that cape that many women wear of
Right.
couldn't do it myself. Because I know if I do it, it will get done properly. I realized I built a burden, not a blessing. My business was a burden because when I needed to grieve, when I needed to rest, when I needed someone to help me, I did not invite anybody in to help me.
Mm-hmm.
So from that day forward, I decided to do things very differently. And slowly I built up a team. And it wasn't like I didn't even have the money to pay somebody full time. I was like, can you work as my assistant for 10 hours a week? I started from where I was and what I could manage. And of course I was just terrified. And then of
Right.
course what ended up happening was we made a lot of money. I was like Oprah giving everybody jobs. You get a job, you get a job, everybody gets a job. But I made the false assumption that because I was generating more money, that meant I needed to expand my team in such a drastic way because money ebbs and flows in entrepreneurship. Sometimes it goes up,
Absolutely.
sometimes it down. And so, I did have to, after I employed a lot of people, I did have to let people go and I had to hurt people's feelings. And, I think that's another aspect of leadership of, man, you have to make sure that you are ready to hire people. But what were those triggers that would make me know it was safe to hire? And so I've made a lot of mistakes in that regard, but I've been able to slow down. You have to slow down enough to be strategic. A lot of people just keep running really fast that they don't look at what's going on. And so just building the team throughout the years it's been about 5 years. It's been really slow, steady, methodical, but man, just having just had a baby 2.5 months ago, and I have not really worked because I have a great team, and my team knew who was responsible for what. And I even created this document called Break in Case of Emergency. It was just something I made up. And I'm like, this is how I define an emergency. And
Okay.
this is a non emergency, right? This is when you call me. This is when you
Right.
say, I'm not going to mind. Yes, I may be nursing a baby, but you call me if this emergent situation happens. And so, them having that express responsibility, authority, and these parameters that I've created, amongst many, many other things to kind of support the team development, has been really crucial. And now I'm in a new season of, okay, what if I'm not going to come back to work the way that I did before? I want to sit more in this management CEO role. Now, how is that going to change my company? So yeah.
Yeah. Now, based on everything that you've experienced, what is your biggest leadership lesson, you would say?
Uh, Based on what I've experienced, my
Uh-huh.
biggest leadership lesson. Hmm. The biggest leadership lesson I would say is I really wish I would have been more intimate with my numbers at the beginning. And there's a book that I have called Managing by the Numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent resource. I didn't know what liquidity meant, net profitability, gross. I'm like, all these accounting terms. I have
Right.
no idea. But the numbers uh, display a message and they communicate to you. And one of the things that helped me was I was in this amazing um, leadership development incubator
Mm-hmm.
years ago. And that's when I found out what my liquidity was, which a good healthy one is above two, and mine was like point something. I was like, oh girl, you in danger. Like Whoopi Goldberg said in Ghost, you in danger, girl. I was like, I was in danger because um I realized, oh, I have, overextended myself financially in some areas, and now I have to really course correct. And um, just, I really wish that I would have known a lot more about that and not focus so much on revenue, but on profitability. I was so focused on these vanity revenue metrics where really profitability is what shows you and reflects the health of a business. So that would be the lesson. Just you got to know your numbers. know your numbers. So I'm looking at them almost every day.
I would echo that because I remember when I left corporate America in 2021, I knew nothing about numbers. I knew my paycheck, right? Because I got to pay on the 1st and the 15th. I knew that. And when I left, people were like, well, how do you track? And I'm like, track what? I knew I was getting paid because I could see the clients, to your point, right? You see the money coming in,
Yeah.
you're just not sure where it's going. Attorney Davis, I messed around and tried to track it on an Excel spreadsheet. Why did I do that? And I am nothing negative about Excel. That's just not my strong suit, right? And I looked at it one day and I was like, the number's not filling in because I'm supposed to fill them in. You can't get nothing from nothing, right?
Clear. Woo.
So,
Yeah. Very humbling.
right. And the day that I broke down and got a bookkeeper, my life changed.
Yes.
Before I make decisions in my business, I can pull up my reports, read through them. To your point, it's telling you a story. And it may be something you're thinking about. Maybe I could do this for my business. And you think, oh, well, I got this big client coming, or a new client just came. But then you look at that report and it says, no, Attorney Davis. As you said, a Whoopi Goldberg said in Ghost, you in danger.
Girl.
You can't do it. So that was definitely a lesson. And I'm glad you shared that, because people could look at you and look at your business and say, Attorney Davis has it all together. She knew all of these things. You sharing that puts it out there that we all need to be aware, not necessarily the revenue. Yes, that's important, but what you're bringing home, that profitability speaks to what you get to keep.
Oh my goodness. Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
There's so many lessons. That's one of the largest ones.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Now, something else I want to ask you about.
Yeah.
When you think about, because I can see the passion you have for your team. You smile when you talk about them, right?
I love them. They're amazing.
What strategies do you use to keep motivating and inspiring them to bring that ambition to the office every day?
You know what? Just, it's several things. I'm so transparent with my team. Because I really believe that it's important for women to know and understand how a business is run, as well as the part that they play.
Right.
And I think maybe that has shot me in the foot in the past, but when people don't have the right heart. What I do is I really make sure that I acknowledge the hard work that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But what has also motivated me to allow for them to feel like they want to keep coming back is to make sure that they're not overwhelmed.
Right.
And to really listen to them. And I'm encouraging them, talk to me. Even if you feel like you're going to hurt my feelings, you're not. Tell me what's going on.
Right.
Tell me what you need. And truly giving them that safe space, where one young lady, she said, I tried to do this work and I thought that I could get it done and I wasn't able to get it done. And this is why I couldn't get it done. And I said, I appreciate you sharing that with me, but what would have been better is if you shared it with me 5 days ago, right? Because I said, I don't mind either myself stepping in, maybe helping you prioritize the work. You have to communicate with me and tell me what you need. Right. If you don't tell me what you need, I'm not a mind reader. I can't help you if I don't know what's going on.
Right.
And so just having an open line of communication with them, also clearly defining what their roles are and listening to them if things need to evolve. So it's like we've implemented our own version of stoplight decision making, where, hey, this is your green light. You have responsibility and authority over these particular tasks, and these particular aspects of a case. Yellow is you can still do it, but you might need to let me know before you do it. Make sure you follow the SOP. Red is you have no permission to do that.
Right.
And that has really helped them to move, because I have often been, like many CEOs, the bottleneck in my own business, because my team, they care about my clients, they care about the work that they're doing, and they know that this business is my baby. Well, it's not really my baby. My babies are my 3 babies, right? But they know it's like, if it was as close to a baby as possible, it's my passion. And they don't want to be responsible for letting something fall through the cracks. But sometimes that creates a hesitation for them to actually commit to implementation. And so now having clear parameters of what they can and can't do. I'm really trying to also just pay a competitive wage, and being, researching that, because people can go in different places, and it may be an employer's market right now, but I think, sometimes that pendulum shifts, and it's difficult, but having a true relationship, caring about what's happening with people, um, doing kneecap to kneecap meetings, which is almost like a virtual thing where it's one-on-one. You have my full attention. What's going on with your family? How are you doing? I've had some team members tell me in the past. I remember one young lady, she kept coming in late. And I said, don't come in late again. She came in late for the third day, and I sat her down in my office, and she just looked so defeated. And I said, do you have trouble with time management? She said, yes. I said, me too. I said, would you like me to get you a coach or someone that can assist you with managing your time, helping you figure out how to plan your day? And she just looked at me like, I cannot even believe that you're offering this to me. I said, well,
Right.
absolutely. If I can help somebody gain a skill, and I'm willing to make the investment to help them. Even in healthcare, they have a financial planner, like those types of things. Like, there's no shame in the fact that maybe nobody ever taught you how to manage your time properly or plan your day. Because much of this project management, task management, someone who's an employee may not have been taught that particular skill. They may have just been taught the skill of how to do the work well. And so, me taking the time to invest in them personally and professionally, I do believe that that makes them want to stay. In addition to paying them money that they can live and they don't have to worry about, you know, keeping up with their bills.
You just said a mouthful there. I've talked to so many people in sessions who don't have most of what you just talked about. Um,
Right.
and there being more work is being, of course, given to them, and they're expected to do it. I've talked to people, Attorney Davis, who haven't gotten a raise in 4 years. And even if you don't get a raise, can we get something that shows that you appreciate me? Maybe I might get a day off or something, whatever that is, right? Can we
Yeah.
talk about how you can help me?
Yeah.
Just like you had that conversation with that young lady. And I think those conversations show someone that they have value, right? You care about them beyond the work that they produce.
Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
I do care. Like, it's not even like a phony type thing. I'm like,
Right.
I legitimately care for people. And I have to, a part of the reason why I have a lot of systems and processes in place is because I do care about people, and I can be subject to allowing myself to be taken advantage of. I just know me.
Yeah.
I've had people who, um, one of my clients, they wanted a refund. And it wasn't because I did anything. Excuse me, they didn't want a refund. They wanted me to cover the cost of something that was clearly outlined in their contract.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, if I make a mistake, of the hundreds of people that I've represented, if I make a mistake, I fall on my sword and I say, listen, this is my fault. I'm gonna take money out of my pocket. I'm gonna correct the mistake. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that for you. Don't worry about it. Done that so many times I can't even count. But if I clearly outline a responsibility that someone is supposed to have and they agree to it, I'm not going to allow myself to be taken advantage of. And I have to draw the line somewhere. And I think that can be the same thing, whether it be with clients or employees.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that I have clear SOPs, clear processes in place, clear delegating responsibility and authority, because I know me, and my heart, I have a tender heart, because I'm honestly going to think the best about somebody until they show me something different. But
Yes.
if I tell someone, this is your responsibility, and if you don't meet that responsibility, and then they try to tell me, well, you didn't tell me that was what I was supposed to be doing, then it's like, actually, no, it's right there. I told you, and you knew this because I told you clearly. So I'm trying to also be very definitive in how I delegate that authority, and also even giving grace for people, because I have people who still struggle with time management. And so I say, listen, instead of you getting me the final draft, I want you to get me the best first draft you can.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weeks before something is due. So it really takes that pressure off of people of having to like hit a deadline. Because some people won't move until you give them a deadline, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because procrastination can be rewarded by people
Oh
sometimes.
yeah. Oddly enough, it is environments where it is rewarded. So
Yeah.
well, I know we're getting close to time. I have two more questions for you, and these
Okay.
are the thought-provoking ones.
Okay.
So, how do you measure success, Attorney Davis, beyond the case wins, the, you're meeting the deadlines? What is that like innate feeling when you wake up in the morning like I'm winning? What
Yeah.
is that for you?
For me, it is how close are we to meeting our client centric mission? So I have core tenets in my company, which is, behaviors that I want our team to, just embody. But then I have defined a mission for our company that is client focused as well as employee focused. And how close are we getting to that? So our client centric mission is we help legacy driven entrepreneurs who are who are pioneers in their industries and thriving in their purpose, help them by providing cutting edge, culturally relevant legal services to protect their products, their programs, and their profits. And the change we make is we give our clients the protection and legal support they need to remove legal targets from their back. And we will know we are successful
Mhm.
when legacy driven entrepreneurs are hiring us as the go to law firm for business protection worldwide. Our employees receive monthly professional development training, and we are recognized as the best place to work in Charlotte, North Carolina. So it's not, that stuff is not based on some sort of metric or, how a case wins. It is, hey, are you guys getting that monthly training you need? And it's good for me to read it because it's like, when are we going to start that monthly training? It might be every other month or once a quarter, but now it's like, how can I continuously pour back into them? What could we do so that we can get that voted the best place to work? What does that look like? And how do we measure when people are all across the globe are hiring us? And so that's how I'm defining success.
Awesome, awesome. I like the fact that you're bringing in training for them. It's so
Yeah.
many people that don't get that, but they're expected to, keep performing at higher levels. Well,
Right.
you didn't invest in them. You didn't point them
Mhm.
in the right direction. You didn't give them, the resources they need. So what do you expect of them?
Right.
Yeah. So kudos to you for doing that. And the last question is, what is the deeper purpose or why behind your leadership journey? Because it seems like you're on a journey of continuous growth. You talked about, continuing to get coaching, continuing to invest in yourself and show up. What's
Mhm.
that why?
For me, like my personal why is to help other people thrive in their purpose and choose a more elevated path.
Mm-hmm.
So, what that means to me is that I'm a purpose activator and I'm a purpose accelerator, whether it comes to legal or not. It's the thing that is about me, whether someone's hiring me or not. I want to see people operate in their God breathed, God designed purpose. And so sometimes people are operating in a space and in a place that is beneath their potential.
Mm-hmm.
It's beneath their purpose. And I want them to choose a more elevated path. And that requires courage. It requires conviction. It requires correction. And so my why is deeply rooted in knowing that people are coming to me and they're trusting me as their attorney. They're saying, I have something that I want to change the world with, whether it's a new invention, a coaching program, a new service, a new product. And they're coming to me. Many people come to me with their deepest secrets of this is something that I have built, and they're vulnerable and they're trying to choose a more elevated path. And I have to be responsible enough to steward what it is that they're giving to me. For me, it's never just about a trademark or a new contract. Is this going to protect your legacy? Is this going to preserve what you have created and built for generations to come, if that's what you're choosing? Is this going to help position you for someone to acquire your business in the future? And so for me, my why is deeply rooted in helping others choose a more elevated path. And one of the avenues that I choose to use that and do that with is the legal services that we offer.
Well, Attorney Davis, I thank you so much for your time today. If you don't mind, could you share exactly how people could find information about the Creators Law Firm if they wish to utilize your services?
Absolutely. You all can find information about the Creators Law Firm at www.creatorslawfirm.com. And you can also follow us on social media. The best place to follow me is at Creators Lawyer on Instagram.
All righty. Well, Attorney Davis, thank you so much for sharing these amazing nuggets and being vulnerable enough to share that you've had challenges on your journey to being the amazing leader that you are today. So thank you again.
Thank you. I hope you have a great day.
All right.